being with him for so many years, it's amazing to see a kid from a man to a grown man.
As they were going to announce this fight initially, DV allegations dropped. Tank was arrested, and it was once again put in doubt.
Before the fight was cancelled on Monday after a civil lawsuit filed by ex-girlfriend Courtney Rozelle accused Davis of battery and aggravated battery.
When Calvin Ford learns that Gervonta Davis has been taken into custody, he breaks down crying during a live broadcast. "I watched Tank grow into a man," he says, remembering their long climb from the streets to championship glory. Ford's voice wavers as he describes how heartbreaking it is to watch everything crumble. He can't hold back his emotions, realizing that the path they once believed would keep rising has suddenly collapsed in the most painful way. Throughout
my journey's crazy. That's why I said this, you can't write this, man. You cannot write this. My experience being gone and all the stuff that I went through preparing me for where I'm at today. You know, that Tank is older. He had the lessons, getting his lessons of what he got to do, take us the rest of the way. And this is just take us the rest of the way.
Throughout his career, Gervonta Davis has dealt with numerous personal issues. At the start of this year, the mother of his children accused him of wrongdoing, though the charges were later thrown out. Shortly after, another woman filed a separate lawsuit, adding even more controversy to his already tense situation. Even though the initial case was dismissed, these new legal problems drew massive attention and damaged his public reputation. Many people pointed out that personal matters rarely remain private, especially for big-name athletes like Davis in professional sports. Even top-level skill doesn't protect someone from legal consequences or public backlash. One incident is enough to take over the headlines and overshadow everything an athlete accomplished, affecting how people view both their career and character. Fans, analysts, and the boxing world judge fighters not only for what they do in the ring, but also for how they act outside it, meaning every move is judged under a microscope. Davis's situation shows that achievements alone can't shield an athlete from legal or public fallout, highlighting the ongoing struggle to balance personal actions with professional expectations.
The Roach rematch never happened. The Paul camp still thought Tank is a big enough name, regardless of his previous result, to go ahead with this bout. But just as they were going to announce this fight initially, DV allegations dropped. Tank was arrested, and it was once again put in doubt. Then the charges were dropped. A week later, they announced the event. So that kind of brings us to today. This event hasn't been smooth sailing so far, and it was almost destined that there would end up being a few more bumps in the road before we actually saw the two facing off. And about as big of a bump as you could really get has now hit the promotion. A civil suit has been filed against Tank, in which his ex-girlfriend accuses him of aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. While it was also reported by ESPN that a report has been filed additionally with the Miami Gardens Police Department last Tuesday. However, as I'm recording this, there's yet to be any criminal charges. Now, these alleged incidents happened last month, which was after the announcement of the fight. You would think if you're Tank on the verge of the biggest payday he's ever gotten, he would be doing anything to stay out of trouble, yet he continues to find himself in negative situations again and again. But in saying all of this, everything at the moment is very much alleged, and I'm not really here to talk about the validity of these claims. What I am here to talk about, though, is the impact this might have on the boxing event in a couple weeks' time. Now, Tank vs. Paul, love or hate the idea of it, was destined one of the most viewed fights of the year. Although there are rumors of there being poor ticket sales, the at-home audience that was going to watch this.
Roy Jones Jr. stated that Gervonta Davis has been under heavy pressure for a long time, and this latest situation only adds to the weight he's carrying. He explained that these troubles, happening at the same time as the build-up to the Jake Paul fight, created even more emotional strain on the young superstar. According to Jones, the boxing world already knew Davis had past struggles, so the news wasn't completely surprising, but still very disappointing. He also noted that the cancellation of the fight has made Davis's situation even harder, forcing him to handle public criticism while also dealing with the frustration of losing.
Jake Paul didn't work out. Just what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
Man, I really don't want to even have much to say about that because everybody take it the bad way. But all I'm gonna say is this: Jake Paul knew what it was when he first signed the fight. This ain't the first time he had battered against a woman. You knew what it was when you first signed the fight. So don't get mad and cuss him out and talk bad about him now. You know what it was when you signed up for it. Come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's not do that. Nobody talk. I don't talk bad about him either, but don't do the dude like that. No, the dude having a hard time in his life right now. Don't just do him like that. You know what I mean? Because you knew exactly what he was when you signed him to fight the first time. All I gotta say.
Tank's team has kind of been bringing that, like, talking about just some of Jake's past, and more kind of said that Jake said he's actually afraid to fight Tank. I mean, do you think it leaned a little more on that side, and they're just selling it the other way?
I already know what it is. Like I said, I already know. I'll get into it, but we all know young guys go through issues. That's just
losing a major opportunity. Jake Paul also commented on an incident involving Gervonta Davis. Paul claimed that Davis was totally sober and fully aware of his actions during the situation. He suggested that there was no attempt to shift responsibility by blaming alcohol. While Paul's account is only his personal viewpoint, it portrays Davis as conscious and in control, revealing some of the pressure he might have been dealing with privately. By discussing this publicly, Paul gives fans and outsiders a glimpse into Davis's mental state, but it's important to remember that Paul provided no evidence. His comments may fuel speculation, but they also show how closely athletes like Davis are observed, with every detail analyzed by millions. Overall, Paul's remarks highlight how difficult it is for fighters to manage private issues while constantly living under public scrutiny. Coach Kenny offered a detailed look at Gervonta Davis.
Was on Aiden Ross, and he shared a story about Jake Paul, about Gervonta, and he said, look, Aiden, it was 4:15 in the morning. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Gervonta Davis was sober. He got sober into a car and drove out there at that hour to do this. This guy is extra bad. Let me repeat that. Let me repeat that. Jake Paul said that Gervonta Davis left his house sober and went to Tootsie's nightclub sober. I just want you to put your common sense hat on. How in the world would he know that? Does Jake Paul talk to Gervonta Davis? Did Gervonta Davis tell Jake Paul, I was sober when I left the house? Did Jake Paul have a camera in Gervonta Davis's car? Did he have a breathalyzer in Gervonta Davis's car? Did Jake Paul get toxicology reports from 3 days ago from Gervonta Davis? I am just curious as to how in the world Jake could possibly know that Gervonta Davis was sober. Let me tell you for sure, I will have a drink now and then. If I take a couple shots of vodka and I walk out the house, I'm a little buzzed. Sometimes my wife doesn't even know. How do you know, Jake? The answer is you do not. You are just trying to add something to the story to make Gervonta look worse. It wasn't enough that Gervonta Davis was accused of doing something.
His journey, focusing on the challenges that come with climbing to the highest levels of boxing. He explained that every top-tier fighter faces tremendous pressure, non-stop attention, and personal hurdles both inside and outside the ring. Kenny stressed that these challenges don't represent failure. They are a natural part of the road to greatness. He added that even though Davis is dealing with temporary problems, such as legal cases or negative publicity, none of that erases the years of dedication, discipline, and training he has poured into his career. Kenny's perspective emphasizes that success in boxing is rarely a perfect, smooth ride. It is shaped by victories, setbacks, growth, and recovery. He reminded everyone that tough moments test a fighter's character and require resilience to overcome. These issues might slow down a fighter's momentum or effect how the public sees them, but they don't erase the talent and commitment that built their career. In Davis's situation, Kenny's words show that determination, work ethic, and focus remain major parts of his story, even as he faces new obstacles. That's all for today's video. Stay tuned and we'll see you next time.